In my past life, my husband faked his own kidnapping abroad. I paid the ransom with everything I had, only to end up losing both him and my money. It took me 10 years of grueling work to pay off the debt, yet, during a farewell trip, I encountered him, the man who was supposed to be long dead. It turned out his academic fraud had been exposed, and the charges were serious enough to land him in prison. I just gave up, and the design not only drained all my assets but also left me heavily in debt. Meanwhile, he ran off abroad with his mistress to live it up. Enraged, I suffered a sudden heart attack and died. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn on the day I received the kidnapper's call. 1. Why hasn't she woken up yet? Press harder. It won't work if you're too gentle. A sharp pain in my philtrum jolted me back to consciousness. What's going on? I remember having a heart attack. Am I not dead? When I opened my eyes, I saw my long unseen in-laws gathered around me, their faces etched with worry. Seeing I was awake, they sighed with relief. Shao Jia, you must stay strong. Yu Hao is still suffering, and the whole family is counting on you now. Hearing those familiar words, I realized I had been reborn on the very day my husband, Li Yuhao, was kidnapped. In my previous life, Li Yuhao suddenly told me that things at work were not going well, and he was feeling very frustrated. He wanted to go to the Philippines to clear his mind. Back then, I was extremely busy with work and couldn't accompany him, so I agreed for him to go alone. To my surprise, just 3 days after he left, we received a ransom call from kidnappers. At that time, his parents came to visit me, and we were sitting together chatting. I received a strange call from abroad, claiming that Li Yuhao had been kidnapped and demanding we prepare 10 million within 4 days, convert it to cryptocurrency, and transfer it to their account, or they would kill him. I heard familiar screams in the background, which shocked and terrified me so much that I fainted. I was woken up by my mother-in-law pinching the bridge of my nose. What followed was the beginning of my lifelong nightmare. My in-laws immediately rejected my suggestion to call the police, with good reason. What good would it do to report it since the incident happened abroad? If we don't call the police, we'll have to pay, and the next step is to raise the money. We're just an ordinary family, and to raise such a large sum, I had no choice but to sell our house and car to ensure timely remittance. I sold all my stocks immediately and offloaded all other liquid assets at a discount. In the end, there was no other way, so I borrowed money from everywhere and took out loans from the bank, but I was still short by $1 million. I was so desperate I felt like jumping off a building. There was no other option, so when the kidnappers called a second time, I begged them to reduce the amount by $1 million and agreed to pay in 2 installments. After the first transfer, they even let us see the person via video, but after the second transfer, they vanished without a trace. We waited for days with no news, and by the time I went to report it again, it was too late. I even flew to the Philippines to file a police report and spent a month searching there, but it was all for nothing. That period was like living in hell. I couldn't eat or sleep properly. From the moment I opened my eyes, I was constantly on the move. I lost over 20 pounds in a month and became utterly haggard. In the end, with no trace of him, not even a body, I had no choice but to return to China. I was forced to accept that Li Yuhao must have been killed by the kidnappers. My in-laws grew to hate me bitterly, accusing me of being heartless for trying to save $1 million, which angered the kidnappers and led to their son's death. They immediately cut ties with me and spread rumors everywhere that I was responsible for their son's death. Originally, they had agreed to sell their house to help me pay off the debt, but now they act like it never happened. What I regret is that I thought this was to save their son, and the debt was a family matter. I never expected them to turn their backs on me. I didn't leave any evidence to force them to pay. This kidnapping case cost me my husband, all my possessions, and left me with over $2 million in debt, and those 2 ungrateful old wretches lost a son and $100,000. I simply don't have the energy, nor the proof, to argue with them. As things stand, I have no choice but to throw myself entirely into making money, striving to pay off the debt as soon as possible. Too, as the saying goes, it's always the weakest link that breaks. After my extended leave, I returned to work, but my performance was poor, and I was fired outright. When I borrowed the money, I figured that once Li Yuhao got back, with our combined incomes, we could pay off the debt in 2 or 3 years at most. I never imagined he'd be gone, and my job would be gone too. During that period, I was utterly worn out. Finding a job with the same salary was next to impossible, so I had to settle for a lower paying one. Those years, in addition to my main job, I took on several part-time gigs. I worked day and night, scrimped and saved for a decade, just to pay off my debts and interest. Because of these debts, I had to humble myself and endure cold stares from relatives and friends, even though the money was eventually paid off. These precious relationships were gone, but finally, I could breathe a sigh of relief. For the first time in 10 years, I had some extra money in hand, and I planned a trip to the Philippines to put an end to this miserable decade. I want to forget Li Yuhao, to put behind me these 10 painful years, and start a new life. I retraced the cities my husband had walked through 10 years ago, reminiscing about the beautiful times we once shared. Little did I expect to see Li Yuhao, who was supposed to be dead, on the street. He didn't look much different from 10 years ago, just a bit more mature. I could never be mistaken. Over the past decade, countless nights I've woken from dreams, my face wet with tears at the memory of him, and in all those moments when I felt I couldn't go on, I would look at his picture to find the strength to carry on. Why isn't he dead? My heart leaping with joy, I fixed my eyes on him and quickened my pace, afraid I might miss him. Before I could reach him, another person stepped out of the car, a young woman, dressed in stylish and elegant fashion. The two of them were acting rather intimately. The moment they got out of the car, they linked arms and walked close together, leaning into each other. Who is this person? What's their relationship? I wondered to myself. As I watched them about to enter the mall, I instinctively shouted, Li Yuhao, stop right there. The person actually stopped. It was him after all. I rushed forward a few steps and grabbed his arm. Li Yuhao, is it really you? Li Yuhao looked at me blankly. Who are you? It is you. You're Li Yuhao. How can you not recognize me? I stared at him with certainty. You're alive, all these years. Why didn't you come home? It's you, Li Yuhao exclaimed, looking at me in shock. What are you doing here? The joy of seeing someone thought to be dead slowly faded, and reason returned, watching the two still holding hands. What more did I not understand? This person must have deceived me. I was almost driven mad. Why would you do this to me? Why did you lie to me? Why did you lie to me? I screamed hysterically, but then I heard the woman say coldly, so it's the teacher's wife. It's been years, and you've aged so much. Even Yuhao didn't recognize you at first. His student. So she's his student, and she actually knows me. I glance at her. She looks somewhat familiar. My heart turned to ice. The devoted lover I thought I had not only cheated on me long ago but also swindled me out of my money. I glared viciously at Li Yuhao, thinking of the misery I've endured over the past 10 years. Hatred surged within me. I wished I had a knife in my hand to stab the man before me a few times. A sharp, throbbing pain shot through my chest. These 10 years of hellish existence have completely drained my body. Now, my chest feels both tight and painful. I clung to his arm with one hand, clenched my other fist, and pounded his head as hard as I could. My mouth kept repeating, I trusted you, I trusted you. How ironic. The first time I ever hit someone in my life was against the person I once loved the most. Li Yuhao twisted his body, trying to break free. Stop hitting me, Xiao Jia, don't blame me. I was blackmailed by Zhao Yoxin, and I had no choice but to decide to start over abroad. If you were going to leave, why did you have to cheat me out of my money? I hit him even harder. Li Yuhao still had some sense of shame and didn't fight back, only dodging. The woman next to him immediately came over to break it up. She forcefully pulled me away and pushed me to the ground. She looked down at me and said, Madam, don't get too excited. In fact, we both should thank you for your generosity. It's because you sent so much money to Yuhao that we've had such a good life. I was filled with hatred. It was these two shameless people who wanted to escape their responsibilities and live a carefree life. They wanted everything, but they used my youth and my wealth to fulfill their desires. I could have killed them both right then and there, but the wild swings of emotion were too much for my body. Worn down by a decade of hardship, that final, heavy shove sent me to the ground, and I found I couldn't get back up. The pain in my chest grew sharper. This useless body of mine, am I dying? I couldn't accept it. Li Yuhao, you beast, I curse you. I curse you to a wretched end. 3. I died with endless resentment, only to open my eyes and find myself back at the beginning of everything. For a moment, I couldn't control myself, glaring at the two who seemed to care about me with full hatred, remembering their actions from my previous life. These two old bastards must be conspirators. Xiaojia, what's wrong? Zhang Guilan asked hesitantly, seeing my expression. Are you still not fully awake? Hearing this, I closed my eyes and struggled to rein in my emotions. It's not yet time to burn bridges. I need to stay calm. In my past life, I was in the light while your whole family schemed in the shadows, conspiring to deceive me. Now the tables have turned. I'm in the shadows, and you're in the light. Just watch me make your lives a living hell. Mom, I think I'm dying. My heart hurts so much. I half closed my eyes, feigning a heart attack, having just died from one for real. My performance was utterly convincing. In my past life, those two old bastards played the victim card with me, pushing me into the role of the primary person responsible. They watched me sell off assets and scramble to raise money from all corners. They must have been feeling pretty smug, hiding in the background, playing the helpless victim, as if that's some special skill. Anyone can do that. Shao Jia, don't scare me. What's wrong with you? Zhang Guilan's words sounded frantic, but her actions were anything but. She didn't call an ambulance, instead standing by and carefully studying my expression. I knew she was trying to gauge whether I was really dying. If I really died like this, all their subsequent tricks could be saved. I furrowed my brow to feign pain, and coupled with my pale complexion just after waking up from a faint, the effect was maximized. It's okay, I can endure it. Mom, hurry and call the police, Zhang Guilan said anxiously. How can we call the police? Shao Jia, you absolutely must not call the police. Are the police omnipotent? You've seen on TV. Out of those who report kidnappings, how many are still alive? And what's the point of catching the kidnappers in the end? Seeing my resolve waver, she pressed on. Besides, Yuha was kidnapped abroad. The Philippines is a mess. What good are our country's police? They have no jurisdiction there. Hearing these familiar words, I let out an intentional sigh. Mom, their demands are too high. Where would our family get that kind of money? And they only gave us 4 days. I'm afraid we'll lose both the money and him, and I'm also scared we can't even raise that much. The more I emphasized the money, the more passive they would become. In my past life, I acted like I'd give up the world for Li Yuhao, and that's exactly why they had me wrapped around their finger. Seeing that I seemed close to agreeing, Li Guilan quickly doubled down. Silly child, you shouldn't have to figure out the money alone. Everyone from both our families will pitch in. The person always comes first. Once he's back safe, the money can always be earned again. Alright. We have 100,000 left on hand. We'll give it all to you. We'll also sell our house first. You check how much more you can pull together, figure out the total shortfall. If it's still not enough, we'll borrow more. We'll find a way. Just as I thought, they're hinting at me selling my house again. Last time, the moment I agreed to spend money to save someone, they immediately suggested selling their own house to save their son. I was genuinely moved. With the family in trouble, they were willing to give their all. How could I not put in the same effort? So I immediately started contacting agents to sell my house and car. Swamped with work, I had absolutely no time to check if their house had actually sold. I kept hearing them mention on the phone about people coming to view the house and so on, but it wasn't until the 4th day that they finally admitted the house hadn't sold at all. Looking back now, I realized they probably didn't even bother to list it with an agent as a pretense. They were just giving me lip service. Over those 4 days, I only managed 3 or 4 hours of sleep total. I was utterly exhausted but couldn't drift off. The moment I did, I'd dream of Li Yuha's gruesome death and jolt awake again. I ate just enough each day to keep from starving, having absolutely no appetite. I lost 5 or 6 pounds in those 4 days. On the 4th night, we were still 1 million short. When they called again to press for payment, I haggled with them and eventually agreed on 9 million. It was this negotiation that caused them to turn against me immediately after they confirmed that Li Yuhao couldn't return. Using this as an excuse, they spread rumors everywhere that I wanted his son to die outside. The previous agreement to sell the house to pay off the debt was treated as if it never happened. From then on, they cut all ties with me and stopped any contact. I pretended to be moved as I held Li Guilan's hand. Mom, thank you. It's all our fault for causing you so much worry at your age. But your house is in an old neighborhood, and it might be hard to sell. What else can we do? We'll just have to lower the price a bit. My father-in-law looked at me somewhat obsequiously. You young people are so capable, Xiaojia. We'll have to rely on you to take care of things. I continued to pretend to be sick. I really want to get up right now and raise money for Yuhao, but unfortunately, my body is letting me down. I don't know what's wrong. I'm usually in good health, but today I fainted, and now my heart is still faintly aching. My father-in-law's expression darkened. Your health is the most important. You should rest well tonight. Your mother and I will go back and think of something. I turned pale and said weakly, we'll have to rely on our parents to think of something. Yuhao is in such a terrible situation, and just thinking about him makes my heart ache. Once I feel a little better, I'll go out and ask for help. For once they left, I no longer had to pretend and immediately called my parents. Mom, are you and Dad at home? Xiaojia, your dad went out for a walk after dinner. Is there something on your mind? Mom's voice was as gentle as ever. I listened with tears in my eyes. In my past life, my parents suffered because of me. Their once comfortable and prosperous life was gone forever, and from then on, they had to scrimp and save to get by. Mom, don't worry just yet, it's nothing serious, I just have something I need to tell you both. I'll be home in half an hour. Can you ask Dad to come home and wait for me? As soon as I walked in, I saw my parents sitting on the sofa, waiting for me. In that moment, all the pent-up grievance and pain came pouring out. I couldn't help but throw my arms around my mother and sob. What's wrong, sweetheart? Why are you crying? Mom was startled by my state. Tell me right now. Did Li Yuhao bully you? Wait, no, he went abroad. What on earth is the matter? You're going to worry me to death. I had never lost my composure like this since I was old enough to understand things. I really gave my mom a fright. I held on to my mom and cried for a good 10 minutes. Letting it all out made me feel much better. I wiped my tears. Mom, what I'm about to say next might sound unbelievable, but you have to believe me. And with that, I told them everything about my past and present life. They didn't let me down. My parents believed me. They couldn't think of any reason why I would lie to them. I never expected Xiaoli to be such a person. After knowing him for so many years, it's truly unbelievable that he could be so heartless. Dad sounded incredulous. Mom, I remember who that person is who called me Shermu. By Li Yuhao's side. She's a student working part-time, serving as his assistant. She's been to our house more than once. Yes, I recall who that woman is. Back then, she wasn't the person I saw after my rebirth. So arrogant and dressed like a wealthy lady. She used to be a quiet and shy girl, with delicate features and a slight, perpetual furrow in her brow that made you worry she'd been wronged. It was the kind of look that instantly made you want to protect her. I had even asked Li Yuhao about her. I remember him telling me, she's from a small town, her father remarried, and her stepmother doesn't pay her much mind. I offered her a part-time assistant position. It lets her earn some pocket money for living expenses without having to take an outside job that could interfere with her studies. For me, it means fewer mundane tasks to handle, a win-win situation. I felt a lot of sympathy for her. Whenever we had extra food or supplies at home, I'd always have Li Yuhao take them to her. I never imagined those two would get together and actually team up to scheme against me. Li Yuhao and I fell in love in college and got married. We always had a great relationship and got along really well. Before all this happened, we'd never even had a proper fight. It never crossed my mind that he would cheat on me, let alone plot against me like this. Li Yuhao, you're something else, carrying on with your little mistress outside while still playing the doting husband at home. You really don't miss a beat, do you? Mom fumed and cursed. Treachery breeds wicked schemes. They're all heartless scoundrels. Don't they fear divine retribution? I said with bitter resolve. Divine retribution is giving me a second chance at life. Shao Jia, whatever you decide to do, your mother and I will support you, Dad said, looking at me. But my advice is to expose their lies and just divorce him. We bought the house a long time ago. It's property for your own family, and you were always entitled to the larger share. Let the rest go, even if it means taking a financial hit. We can't afford to get tangled up with a man like him. I can't accept this, Dad, I just can't. If he fell for someone else and wanted a divorce, I could have lived with that. But why did he have to swindle me out of every penny and leave me drowning in debt? He's trying to destroy me, even though the house was my premarital asset. Its value increased so much during our marriage. By law, I have to give him half of the appreciation. The thought of giving that bastard a single cent makes me sick. Why should I waste my youth slaving away for him? If I let him off the hook so easily, I'd be betraying the 10 agonizing years I endured in my past life. Dad sighed. Whatever you want to do, whatever you need from us, just tell us. Don't worry, no matter the outcome, your mother and I will always be right there with you, sharing the burden. I forced my eyes wide open, pushing back the flood of tears threatening to spill. I already knew, Dad, you shared that burden with me in my past life. I understand, Dad. I want to give them a taste of their own medicine. Let them experience the suffering I went through in my past life. 5. Mom, Dad, here's my thinking. In my last life, I was afraid I wouldn't have time to sell the house, so I listed it with an agent at 20% below market value. It sold the same day. If I hadn't been in such a rush, I definitely wouldn't have taken such a loss on the price. Now, with property prices constantly rising and my house in a prime location, I just need to lower the price slightly and double the commission for every agent in the city to prioritize my listing. I'm confident that even if it doesn't sell in a single day, it'll definitely be gone within 3 or 4. Mom grew anxious. Why on earth do you still want to sell the house? I patted my mother's hand reassuringly and laid out the entire plan for them in detail, selling the assets, hiring someone to create a fake website that mimicked an exchange to trick them with the wire transfer. To truly get rid of Li Yuhao, I also need his family to make the kidnapping and murder look real. I'll go to the police then, and pretend that people have already come after him for his academic fraud, making him too scared to return to the country. If I don't actually sell the house, the police will know something's off with the slightest investigation, then the focus will shift to investigating me. Only by making all the preliminary steps airtight will the police's attention remain fixed on the kidnapping case. Even if they discover the issue with the website, they'll just think I was another victim of the scam. This kidnapping case will end up just like in my past life, impossible to solve, Dad said with relief. Xiaojia, you've grown up, it's good that you know what to do, just tell me what you need from me. Dad, just help me borrow money from everywhere, but don't actually borrow it. Just borrow a few tens of thousands from our closest relatives. The key is to spread the word that we're in trouble and need to borrow money. Then we'll take out 100,000 and tell them that all our relatives are struggling and don't have any spare money to lend us. In my previous life, I was too honest. I only wanted to get enough money to save someone, and I never thought about making a public appeal. In the end, the person couldn't be saved, and no one believed that I had exhausted all my resources and sold all my assets. After finalizing the plan, I returned home. It was already quite late. Thinking about needing to hire someone to create a fake website and pay them, I contacted a childhood friend. We'd been so busy with work in recent years that we've barely kept in touch. I omitted the details about my rebirth and briefly told her, Xiaoya, it seems like my husband is cheating and trying to swindle me out of money. I want to secretly hire someone to investigate, which requires payment. Could you lend me one of your unused bank cards for 4 days? Xiaoya, being my best friend, immediately agreed. Why make it so complicated? If you have any transfers you don't want him to know about these days, just contact me directly, and I'll transfer the money for you. I was so moved I was at a loss for words. Xiaoya, thank you. Don't thank me. It's not like you don't have to pay me back. If that bastard Li Yuhao dares to wrong you, I won't let him off the hook either. Xiaoya was as straightforward as ever. Okay, I've created a new account on a certain app. I'll add you in a moment, and I'll use this app to contact you from now on. Remember to delete it in 4 days. I won't say anything more for now. Once I've sorted this out, my treat, let's go out for a meal. Even though I ran into that pack of wolves, the Li family, there are still plenty of good people around me. I dug out my old phone that hadn't been used in years, applied for a foreign email account, and used that account to sign up for a certain app to stay in touch with Xiaoya and my cousin. It's getting late, and I really need to rest. Today has been an emotional roller coaster, and I'm utterly exhausted, just barely holding on by a thread. 6. I had a peaceful night's sleep, but Zhang Guilan was growing anxious. She probably didn't expect this usually compliant daughter-in-law of hers to suddenly become so difficult to deal with. She immediately asked her husband to call their son to discuss what to do. Son, what's going on? Lin Jia's reaction is different from what you told me. What do you mean, different? Tell me. Li Yuhao was a bit anxious. Li Jiaxiang chimed in. When we suggested selling the house to raise money, she didn't even entertain the idea. It's like she's brushing everything off. What should we do now? All our original plans are useless. Are we really going to sell our house at a bargain price? Li Yuhao was also taken aback. Lin Jia had never been particularly materialistic, and even after marriage, she never demanded he hand over his salary card. The monthly household expenses were given by him voluntarily. Lin Jia never bothered with how much money he had or how he spent it, given how deeply his wife cared for him. Why was she unwilling to spend money to save him this time? Dad, tell me exactly what happened, Li Jiaxiang then recounted the events of that day in full detail. Li Yuhao was deeply touched. He hadn't expected Lin Jia to faint for his sake. Sigh, if it weren't for his major issues, he wouldn't bear to part with this wife. Lin Jia isn't like that. She must be feeling really unwell, but she didn't say anything because she didn't want to worry you. She's too exhausted to handle things. Sigh, she's always so considerate. Zhang Guilan, if she drags her feet, what do we do on our end? Lin Yuhao pondered for a moment. We can't sell the house. It's too much of a loss. Look, our house is currently valued at around 2 million, so let's say a 30% discount, that's 1,400,000. I have 500,000 here, borrow some from my brother. add it to the money you already have, and give her around 1,300,000 to 400,000. If it's not enough, we'll use the house in our hometown as collateral. Later, we'll just say you found a buyer on your own. Don't worry, Mom, I'll return the money to you as soon as she transfers it to me. You should go back to our hometown first, leave the house empty for a few months, and then sell it to buy a new one in another city. This way, it's better not to live near them to avoid any suspicions. Who can blame Linjia's house being worth more than theirs? Not to mention they have other assets as well. I never expected that, despite being apart, my wife and I would once again be on the same page. Early the next morning, Zhang Guilin called to gently urge me to sell the house. Xiajia, are you feeling better? Mom, I'm much better. My heart doesn't hurt anymore, but now I'm all sore. Oh, that's good, Xiajia. It's not that Mom is rushing you, but Xiaohao's situation is urgent. Do you have a plan yet? I haven't told my mom about selling the house yet. They worked hard to buy it for me, and I don't know how to bring it up. Zhang Guilin, hearing me say this, was afraid I wouldn't sell, and quickly said, Xiajia, it's our family's fault. Yuhao's fate has brought this upon him. My husband and I thank you for your kindness to him. He will definitely repay you when he returns. Our Li family will always remember your kindness. In my previous life, I was desperate to save someone, and saving Li Yuhao seemed like it was my sole responsibility. These two, as Li Yuhao's parents, became my benefactors by providing money, as if they were saving my husband rather than their son. They calculated my money and expected me to be grateful for the meager bait they offered. It's sad that in my previous life, I was truly moved by their assistance. Every time the topic of money comes up, I always hesitate, showing some reluctance. These two immediately adopt an attitude that says, I'm saving their son and doing them a huge favor. It's clear they know right from wrong, but they just play favorites and act cheap. She's now afraid I might back out, so she's desperately trying to flatter me. Mom, I'm young and don't have the face to borrow money. I've already asked my parents to borrow from relatives. I didn't tell them the truth, just that Yuhao's business is in trouble and needs a lot of money to cover it. Don't let it slip, okay? My face was expressionless, as if I were reciting lines, yet my tone was gentle and soft. Mom, I'll have to trouble you and Dad to reach out to the relatives on your side as well. Please do your best to borrow as much as you can. Our two properties used to be worth a decent amount, but with us needing to sell in a hurry now, it's hard to say how much we can actually get for them. Having said all I needed to say, I didn't care what they might be thinking on the other end. I simply used feeling unwell and needing to rest as an excuse to hang up the phone. 7. After finishing the call, I got out of bed. I found people on several computer learning forums to create a fake website, offering a high price to get it done in 2 days. The key was that no matter what trading account was entered, the entire transaction could be completed. I also asked my cousin studying abroad to purchase an identity to apply for a foreign domain name similar to that of the exchange, where we could install this website. Then, through a middleman, I bought an account on a foreign third-party payment platform to cash out the money that day. I sold both cars at home and vaguely posted on my social media to commemorate my cars, hinting that something had happened at home and I needed to sell them to raise money. Seeing that I hadn't taken any action to sell the house all day, they got anxious. That evening, they told me they had heard from someone in their hometown who wanted to buy a house, and the person would come to view it tomorrow. If there are no major issues, it will be bought. It's all a fire sale, so it's better to sell to someone we know, and there's also a personal connection. Maybe the price can be a bit higher. I leisurely ate fruit at my mom's place, sincerely praising their abilities. Mom, you guys are amazing. In such a short time, you've already found a buyer. I only convinced my parents to sell the house this afternoon. This morning, I sold our car, and I've sold all our stocks too. Now, I'm just worried about where to borrow some money. Zhang Guilin said, Xiajia, don't be too anxious, we'll figure something out together. Your dad asked Mingho for a loan today, but you know, Mingho only bought a house a couple of years ago, so he might not be able to lend much. Mom, I understand. I didn't realize before, but now that I've had to ask people for money, I know how difficult it is. No matter how much Big Brother is willing to lend, Mingho and I are grateful to him. I hinted to Zhang Guilin that it was also hard for me to borrow money. Mom, do you think next time they call, we can negotiate with the kidnappers to reduce the amount? We really can't afford to pay any more. Zhang Guilin quickly stopped her. You mustn't do that. Yuhao's life is in their hands. Shao Jia, you can't act recklessly. Okay, I understand. Mom, I just thought it was too hard to borrow money, So I came up with this idea. After hanging up the phone, I continued to watch videos and eat fruit. It had been a long time since I had been this relaxed. During those nightmare-like 10 years of my previous life, I worked 3 jobs and dared not take a single day off. I ate the cheapest food and didn't even buy fruit. All I thought about was paying off debts. I can finally catch my breath and get a little rest now. My mom borrowed tens of thousands from my uncles and aunts. Now everyone who knows me is aware that my husband is in trouble, and that my family is selling our house and car, and borrowing money. I did the math. On paper, the assets Li Yuhao knows about can't come up short. He can forget about the rest. Let's value the house at 4 million. It's reasonable for a fire sale to take a hit. The car at 400,000, and the 1 million in stocks is non-negotiable. I have no idea how much his parents' house will sell for, and frankly, I don't care. When the time comes, I'll just say an extra 100,000 is from my parents, and another 50,000 is a loan. So, by that calculation, the money I can come up with is only 55 million, which is 45 million less than last time. This time, I'll act all anxious, but when it's time to actually do something, I'll be helpless and take no action. Let them take the lead and face the consequences of their own actions. 8. My house sold on the 3rd day. Offering double the commission really did the trick. To hit my target price, I agreed with the buyers on a lower contract amount, with them paying me the difference in cash. They were happy to go along since it helped reduce their tax burden too. When the scheduled call came on the 3rd evening, I went to his parents' house early. The moment I told them the sum I'd managed to scrape together, the couple's expressions changed instantly. Zhang Guilan said with clear dissatisfaction, "Shao Jia. That's nowhere near enough. You can't be stingy at a time like this. Yuhao's life is on the line." I sighed helplessly. "Mom, my place isn't like yours. The total price is on the higher side, and with this kind of urgency, it's really hard to find a buyer." A friend forwarded my listing to their agent group. Finally, a potential buyer came to see it today, but they lowballed the offer. If we weren't so pressed for time, I'd consider taking out a mortgage loan. I might even get a slightly better price that way. A bank loan at 70% of the value would be much higher than this offer, but mentioning it now is pointless. There's just no time. Maybe when they call back, we can try to negotiate for a few more days. I knew they'd never agree. Otherwise, this whole kidnapping charade would seem too fake, but I said it anyway. Li Jiaxiang did the math and looked grim. "Xiajia, your mom isn't blaming you, but the gap is just too big. We only sold our house for 135 million, plus your 55 million. That's only 9 million, we're still short by 1 million, what are we going to do?" I pretended to be confused. "Dad, out of this nearly 7 million, most of it is my money. I'm already drained, even my parents' savings for their funerals are gone. Can you guys think of a way to borrow some more?" "Oh, right, weren't you supposed to give 100,000? And what about your brother? Can he lend some?" I pinched myself to cry. "Dad, I don't know if it's because everyone found out about us selling our house and car, but none of my relatives or friends are willing to lend me money. Only a few of my aunts and uncles lent me a few tens of thousands. In my past life, I had to borrow money everywhere and endured nothing but scorn. Now it's their turn to go through the same ordeal." Zhang Guilan was at a loss for words. After a long pause, she finally spoke up. "Shao Jia, look, how about this? Could you try to borrow a little from the bank?" I had been waiting for her to ask. "Mom, I've already liquidated my house, car, and stocks. What else do I have left that would convince a bank to lend me a large sum?" I deliberately avoided mentioning unsecured loans. If they brought it up again, I'd just tell them to sell the old family home. Seeing that I was completely unmoved, Zhang Guilan tried reasoning with me again. "Shao Jia, I don't know if I should say this, but money is just an external thing. People are what truly matter. You two have such a deep bond. If Xiaohao were to pass away just like that, what would you do? As long as you two come back, with your abilities, you'll make it all back in a few years. Alas, in the end, it's all because we parents are useless, only having this bit of property." She looked at my expression and continued. "Xiajia, I wonder if your parents' house could. How dare you even think about my parents' house?" I was so angry I was trembling, but I forced myself to stay calm. "Mom, since you brought it up, I'll be honest. Don't take it to heart, you two still have a house in our hometown county." Ignoring their ugly expressions, I continued. "I told you before that we need to keep Yuhao's matter from my parents, and this time I made up a reason to borrow money. Now, what reason can I give to make my mom and them sell the house? To put it mildly, if my parents knew the truth, they would never agree to me giving away these 5 or 6 million. We all know that Yuhao's chances of coming back are slim, but I'm doing this for my heart. Willing to give everything to save him. The two elders' faces turned ashen. I suspect they really want to scold me right now, but since the money is still in my hands, they dare not push too far. Afraid that I might walk away and refuse to contribute a single cent, I watched as the two exchanged glances, and then my father-in-law stepped forward to play the good cop. What are you talking about, old woman? How can we let our in-laws sell their house? There's no such logic in the world. At the same time, he said to me, Xiaojia, your mom is just too anxious and confused. Don't take it to heart, that's not what we meant. We've considered the matter of the house and the county, you know. First, the house isn't worth much. Second, Xiaoyu does have an older brother. We've already sold a more expensive house for him, so we have to consider his brother's feelings. Let's all think of a solution tomorrow. If we still can't raise the money, we'll sell that house. I followed his lead and said, I understand, Dad, we're all doing this for Yuhao. I get it, Mom. While we were talking, Zhang Guilin used the excuse of going to the bathroom and left. I knew she must have gone to contact her son. Since I'm not going along with their plan, they're thinking about how to wrap things up. 9. It wasn't until 9 o'clock that they finally called, straight to my cell as usual. I put it on speaker and set it on the coffee table. You've only got 1 day left, the money's ready, right? I pretended to be hysterical. We've gathered a lot. Please, let me hear my husband's voice. Is he even alive? Don't hurt him. I sobbed through the words. I'd been pinching my thighs so hard for the past 3 days they were covered in bruises. They rattled off more threats, but I kept insisting. Put Li Yuhao on the phone. I need proof he's alive. Finally, I heard Li Yuhao speak. Xiaojia, don't cry. I'm still alive. Please don't cry. Thank you for being willing to save me. The kidnapper's voice came through the phone again. You heard him. I haven't hurt him. If we don't have the money by this time tomorrow, you can forget about seeing him again. I knew they were about to discuss the ransom next, and I couldn't interfere this time. I deliberately pretended to be short of breath. My chest hurts. I can't breathe. My mother-in-law hurried over to support me, massaging my chest. Seeing that I was at a loss, my father-in-law had to take over. Please, we're just an ordinary family. For this ransom, we've already sold our house and car. Now we have 9 million. We've really emptied out our savings, and there's not a penny more. I listened as they both pretended to haggle for nearly 10 minutes, with my father-in-law stubbornly sticking to 7 million. This was all an act for my benefit. Remembering the difficult and long debt repayment life of my previous life, I suddenly didn't want to let them off so easily. I suddenly blurted out, how about 8 million, please? We'll have to go through hell and high water just to scrape together that extra million. We really don't have any more. You could sell our entire family and still not get another cent. The argument between both sides came to an abrupt halt. Both parties in the negotiation felt like they were about to have a meltdown. A couple more words and they would have pretended to agree to 7 million. Now, they had to figure out how to borrow another million. Li Jiaxiang was furious and on the verge of cursing, but remembering the millions that weren't yet in his hands, he swallowed his anger. Xiaojia, what are you doing? They were just about to agree. I looked at him with an innocent expression. Dad, look how aggressive they are. I was afraid if we pushed too hard, they might hurt Yuhao. After an awkward silence on the other end of the phone, they quickly agreed. I guess they were afraid that if they hesitated, I would raise the amount again. Zhang Guilin was frantic. Xiaojia, now we're short by 1 million yuan. Where are we supposed to borrow that kind of money? You agreed to this, so you're responsible. I stared at her in astonishment. Mom, how can you say that? When did they ever agree to 7 million yuan? I only raised the amount because Dad had been talking for so long, and they still wouldn't agree. I did it all for Yuhao's safety. What's the point of saying all this? Xiaojia, with an extra 1 million, what can we two old folks do? We still have to rely on you, Dad. Out of the 8 million, I've already taken out 55 million. I borrowed from all the relatives I could. And I really can't borrow any more. What about selling your old house? Don't worry, when Yuhao comes back, we'll make money and buy the house back for you first. No matter what they say, I always find reasons to refuse. They don't dare to push too hard to get the money from me. In the end, they can only agree to find a way. On the 4th day, they were in chaos over the 1 million. While my side was wrapping things up, my fake website is complete. And it's quite good. It's almost indistinguishable from the real one, especially the pages required for the transaction, which look exactly the same. With their help, I learned how to register an account and transfer money here. I'm extremely satisfied. This website is more than enough to fool two old people. I contacted Xiaoye and paid the fee, then offered extra to have them keep refining it. When I report this to the police later, they might need to inspect it. So the more authentic the website looks, the better. Finally, the deadline arrived. I went to my in-laws' place early and asked, "Mom, did you manage to get the money together?" Zhang Guilan's face darkened. "Of course we did. What else could I do for my son? We sold our house in the county." She was clearly trying to make me feel indebted. I pretended not to catch her meaning. "Thank you, Mom. Yuha will be so grateful. He'll buy you a new one in the future." Right on schedule. My phone received the trading account details they sent over. I pretended to think it over. "Mom, why don't you take out your phone and record a video? With this much money, I'm worried they might try to deny it later. Better to be safe and have some proof." Zhang Guilan didn't want to film it, but this was a critical moment. With all that money about to land in their hands, she didn't want any complications, so she reluctantly agreed. Right in front of my in-laws, I typed on my phone, found the exchange they mentioned, a knockoff version, created an account, transferred the funds, and purchased the cryptocurrency. Then, I copied the transaction account from the text message into the website. "Dad, Mom, I'm transferring it now." Zhang Guilan and Li Jiaxiang both stared at the computer, afraid that something might go wrong. "Okay, go ahead and transfer it." The transfer was successful. The other party, not receiving the virtual currency on time, indeed called and cursed loudly, threatening to kill Li Yuhao immediately. I pretended to know nothing and challenged them for taking the money without releasing the hostage. The money was clearly transferred. "If you don't believe me, I can send you the video proof of the transfer. You can't go back on your word like this. Are you trying to ask for more money? We really don't have any left. Please, I'm begging you, let him go." Seeing that I wouldn't budge, the other party resorted to a threat, "Just wait to collect the body," and then hung up the phone. This really sent the two old fools into a panic. "Xiao Jia, why is he saying he didn't receive the money? Didn't you just transfer it?" I said helplessly. "Yeah, why would they say that? Mom saw me do it with her own eyes. Do they just want more money? Or are they looking for an excuse to silence us for good? How could that be?" Zhang Guilan almost blurted out the truth. "There's no way they'd do that. Something must have gone wrong with the money." "I've got it," I exclaimed on purpose. "The kidnappers must have had a falling out over the split. Someone's trying to take the whole ransom for themselves." I deliberately warned them that with that much money at stake, these men might actually harm their son. That threw them into even greater turmoil. Zhang Guilan wanted to find an excuse to leave the room to contact her son, but she couldn't think of a suitable reason. I kept holding her hand and talking to her, not letting her go. "Mom, maybe we should just call the police. I feel like Yuhao might be in danger." "We can't call the police." Zhang Guilan immediately stopped her. "Maybe he'll be back tomorrow. Let's wait one more day." "Alright, I'll listen to you and wait one more day. If there's still no news about Yuhao tomorrow, I'll go to the police." At this point, I was willing to do whatever they said. "Xiaojia, you should go back to sleep first since you're not feeling well. Get some rest. We have a lot to do tomorrow," Zhang Guilan said with a concerned look, trying to send me away early so she could talk things over with her son. "Okay, Mom, you and Dad should rest early too. I'm going to rest as well. I've been feeling a bit tightness in my chest." As soon as I left, the three of the Li family fell into chaos. Seeing me leave by taxi, Li Guilan immediately called her son. "Xiaoyu, what exactly is going on? Did the money not arrive? Or is this just an excuse you're using for your upcoming fake death?" Li Guilan asked anxiously. "Mom, I really haven't received it." "Did she actually transfer it?" Li Yuhao was even more anxious, repeatedly refreshing the webpage. "Yes, your dad and I watched her transfer it." "Mom, I really haven't received the money." Could it be that she made a mistake with the transfer? Given the seriousness of the situation, Lin Jia wouldn't make such a mistake. Li Jiaxiang said. "Impossible. Your mother and I watched Xiao Jia make the transfer ourselves." She copied that long account number right from her text message. Right in front of us. He suddenly remembered something. "Wait, your mother actually recorded a video while she was transferring the money. Hold on, I'll have her send it to you." Li Yuhao was genuinely frantic now. "Mom, send it over. Quick, let's just do that for now. I'll talk to you after I've seen it." Zhang Guilan hurriedly sent the video to her son, feeling a wave of relief that she had thought to record it. Li Yuhao paid off the 2 fake kidnappers he had hired. He opened the video he received and meticulously checked the long string of addresses. Character by character, it was correct. So where on earth did the money go? Li Yuhao was completely shattered. He had logged into the website and his account half an hour early, just waiting for that huge sum of money to land. He had even bought champagne in anticipation of the celebration, and then the money just vanished. Now he was truly running out of money. He had originally kept over 500,000 as a reserve, but he never expected Lin Jia to raise the ransom by $1 million. This forced him to cough up that last 500,000 to make up the difference. He now only has around 30,000 yuan left. If this money really disappears, thinking about it, he feels cold all over. Could it be that the international transfer is just taking a long time? That's the only thing I can think of for now. Li Yuhao is so anxious that he can't sit still. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. It was his mistress sending a WeChat. Teacher, the money has arrived, right? Let's celebrate, emojis. He irritably read the text message, for the first time finding his little lover so annoying. He didn't even want to reply on WeChat. The messages kept coming, so he simply turned off his phone. If he doesn't receive the money tomorrow, he's definitely going back to figure out where the money went. Without that money, how can he start a new life abroad? He forced himself to sleep, hoping for a miracle to happen tomorrow. He only slept for 4 hours before waking up. As soon as he opened his eyes, he immediately grabbed his phone to check if the money had arrived. The miracle, as expected, didn't happen, and the money still hadn't come. At this point, he began to suspect Lin Jia. Too many coincidences might not be coincidences after all. If it really was her, how did she manage it? What exactly was going on? He racked his brains but couldn't figure out where things had gone wrong. He waited another day. That day, Li Yuhao and his family pored over the surveillance footage and scoured the website again and again, trying to figure out where the money was. As for me, I feigned illness first and even went to the hospital for a checkup just to avoid them. To be honest, I was really worried that for the sake of those 8 million, Li Yuhao might ignore the reality that his academic fraud could land him in jail, and gamble on returning to the country to find the money. Even though I had made a lot of preparations, 3 days was simply too short a time. I couldn't possibly cover all my tracks perfectly. It was as if he had done this to me in a past life. If the police really dug deep, they might uncover the connection between that virtual currency account and Li Yuhao. After all, anonymous accounts can't truly hide one's identity in their past life. They were clever to set up the kidnapping in the Philippines, where domestic police couldn't reach. The only person they intended to deceive from the beginning was me. As long as I believed the kidnapping was real, the entire scheme would succeed. They could easily buy an identity in the Philippines and get the money. The regulations there are lax. To ensure he wouldn't come back, I applied a haggard, sickly makeup and rushed to my in-laws' house that afternoon. Mom, Dad, any news from Yuhao? I asked, my face etched with anxiety. Today, their exhaustion was plain to see. They had dark circles under their eyes, swollen bags, and pale complexions, a stark contrast to the feigned concern they'd shown in the days before. Shao Jia, you're here, come, sit down and rest for a moment. We still haven't heard anything from Yuhao, my mother-in-law said, ushering me to a seat before pouring me a glass of water. Mom, is there something Yuhao's been keeping from me? A man came by the house at noon today, claiming to be his colleague, asking about him. How could I possibly tell him that Yuhao was kidnapped while abroad? I had to give vague answers and brush him off. I have no idea if he bought it or not. Mom, the more I think about it, the more something feels off. Could something have happened to Yuhao at work? Looking back now, he hasn't been himself for a while, always seeming distracted and out of sorts. If something's happened to him, you mustn't keep me in the dark. The elderly couple's expressions grew visibly alarmed. They exchanged a glance, and it was Zhang Jiaxiang who finally spoke up. It's nothing serious, I'm sure. Probably just a colleague who noticed he's been on leave for a while and now can't reach him, so they came by to check in on you. Even if something is wrong, you wouldn't know about it. How could we possibly know? Shao Jia, you're just wound up right now, overthinking things. Don't panic, just be patient and wait at home for a few more days. We have to have faith in him. I put on my most obedient act and agreed to everything. Alright, that puts my mind at ease. Dad, Mom, I'm going to go rest now. I haven't slept well these past few days. I'm absolutely exhausted. Unable to figure out what went wrong, Li Yuhao decided to take the risk and return home. First, he needed to go back and get the money. Life abroad was no good without it. Just as he had made up his mind, opened the website, and was about to book a flight home, his parents called. "Son, what should we do? Xiao Jia just came by and said someone from your school showed up at our house asking when you'd be back." "What?" Li Yuhao was stunned. Had Zhao Yoxin found concrete evidence? Did he call the police? Is he just waiting for me to walk right into the trap? What did Xiao Jia say? Xiao Jia didn't mention the kidnapping. She just said you're traveling abroad and won't be back for another 5 or 6 days. Looks like I can't go back home. If I do, it's straight to prison. Li Yuhao closed the ticket booking webpage in resignation. Dad, I won't be coming back to the country for now. I'll have to stick to the original plan and fake my death overseas. The only thing is, we'll have to look for that money discreetly. Get someone to keep a close eye on Lin Jia. The money might still be with her. Of course, it could also be at the exchange. I'll have someone check if there are any issues with the website in the next couple of days. When I got home, I reviewed all the operations from the past few days. All the smaller, related funds were transferred via Xiaoye. The final sum was handled by my cousin. My communications with both Xiaoye and my cousin were conducted through a foreign app on my old phone, which I registered for using an email address I had already deactivated this account, and I dealt with the old phone as well. I also had them delete the chat records. The tricky part was the last transaction. I searched for news related to telecom fraud and money laundering, and based on that information, I had my cousin apply for an account on a third-party payment platform. The money from the fake website has already been transferred to a safe place through this account. I waited for 2 more days and then went directly to the police station to report the case. It wasn't until the police found my in-laws that they realized I had already reported it. They immediately flew into a rage and scolded me. "Lin Jia, how could you be so reckless with Yuhao's life?" I sat to the side, tears streaming down my face, looking every bit the wronged and submissive daughter-in-law. Even the officer on the scene couldn't take it anymore. "Ma'am, you shouldn't blame your daughter-in-law. Your family paid the ransom, but there's been no word." Reporting it was the right thing to do. Zhang Guilin could barely contain her anxiety. This Lin Jia just wouldn't listen to reason. She'd told her over and over not to go to the police, but she went ahead and did it anyway. Now, not only was her son even less likely to come back, but they also had to be extra careful not to blow their cover. We were questioned at the police station for quite a while, and the officers quickly realized the website I used for the transfer was a fake. These counterfeit websites are specifically designed to scam people who are new to trading cryptocurrency. If you're not familiar with them, it's hard to tell the difference. The website's domain was registered overseas, making our investigation difficult. After so many days, the money has most likely been transferred and is gone for good. We have officially logged your report. However, since the crime occurred abroad, there's only so much we can do directly. Our next step will be to contact the local embassy through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to inquire about the case. You should head home for now. We'll let you know as soon as there are any developments. On the way back, as I was driving them home, they kept blaming me, saying I had used the wrong website and that it had gotten their son killed. "Mom, Dad, how can you say that to me? Yuhao was your son, but he was also my husband. You put in 245 million, and I put in 55 million. Do you really think I would deliberately use the wrong website? You were both there when we made the transfer that day. You didn't spot anything wrong with the website either, did you? So why is it all my fault now? Blame the kidnappers for making the ransom demand so complicated. Why couldn't they just send the URL directly? That way, we wouldn't have made a mistake." The two were rendered speechless by my words. As soon as we reached their neighborhood entrance, they immediately got out of the car and slammed my door shut with a thunderous bang. The two returned home and contacted their son, telling him about the police report and the mistake they made when transferring money to a fake website. Li Yuhao was furious on the other end but utterly helpless. The family is once again worried about debt, not knowing which side to be more concerned about. In the coming days, I just focused on working peacefully. Unlike my previous life, I didn't rush to the Philippines and spend a month searching for Li Yuhao, so my job was naturally preserved. After a week or two, I would visit the police station, only to find no progress. Then I would go to the Li family and inform them. After more than a month, I visited again. The two of them changed their previous attitude and became warm towards me. "Xiao Jia, Yuhao might not be coming back." Sigh, it hurts my heart. I played along with her performance, and we sat facing each other, both of us in tears if nothing else. my acting skills have certainly improved during this time. Mom, I'm heartbroken too. I follow the news from the Philippines every day, terrified of seeing a report about a body being found. I want to go to the Philippines to look for him, but the police told me the chances of finding him are slim. I've already sold everything I own for him and gone into debt. Now I'm terrified of losing my job. If that happens, I won't be able to pay off the debt or even survive. I have to hold on to my job first. There's just no way I can go look for him now. Zhang Guilin was momentarily at a loss for words. She had been nice in hopes of getting some money from her daughter-in-law, but never expected the daughter-in-law to start complaining about being broke first. She didn't know how to respond this time. In order to get the $555 million from their daughter-in-law, they had also put in a solid $245 million to avoid selling the house at a low price. Most of that money was borrowed originally. It was agreed to be repaid in a few days, but now it couldn't be delayed any longer. Could they only sell the house? It's all because Yuhao has such a tough life. Right now, we don't know how he's doing. Your dad and I can't make ends meet either. We borrowed nearly $1 million just to bring him back. With so much debt, how can your father and I ever pay it off? We're getting old, Zhang Guilin said, her tears growing more intense as she spoke. How did things come to this? Just when a beautiful life seemed within reach, it all went from heaven to hell in a matter of days. I cried even harder than she did. Mom, I'm in the same boat. All that wealth is gone, and it didn't even bring Yuhao back. I'd been staying at my parents' place, and it's getting harder to hide the truth. My mom and them now know everything. I'm scolded by them every day. They want to come and share the losses with you, saying you should at least take half the responsibility. I know you're struggling too, and you're doing your best to keep my parents at bay at home, otherwise, they would have come to you already. Li Jiaxiang couldn't sit still any longer and quickly interjected, Xiaojia, it's not that we're unwilling to pay, it's just that we truly have no money left. It's the same if your parents come, you need to talk some sense into them. We absolutely cannot let Lin Jia's parents cause a scene. If things escalate and end up in court, Lin Jia will find out that none of our houses have been sold, and she might demand a share of our assets. The couple exchanged a glance and made up their minds. They could no longer ask their daughter-in-law for money. Xiaojia, since Yuhao is gone, we should support each other and carry on. Our family should not let this create a rift between us. I pretended not to notice the little actions of these two. Dad, Mom, I know, I've been persuading my parents. We must live on well. Things will get better in the future. Oh, Dad, Mom, I got a call from Yuhao's school yesterday, asking me to go pick up his things when I have time. After I reported the case to the police, they visited the school to gather information, so it's no secret that Li Yuhao was kidnapped. After such a long time, the school has assumed he is dead and asked me to collect his belongings. Alright, go ahead then, you're the one who knows Yuhao's things best. Zhang Guilin knew her son had intentionally disappeared, and there was nothing valuable left at school, so they didn't bother. I took some time off when I could and went to the school to pack up his things. The teachers at the school were all very sympathetic. One teacher, Mr. Wang, who I was usually quite friendly with, helped me pack and kept me company with some casual conversation. Life is so unpredictable. Who would have thought something like this could happen to young Mr. Li just from going on a trip? That's why I say Southeast Asia is too dangerous. You just shouldn't go. Then he brought up some school gossip. Oh, by the way, Shaolin, did you hear? Mr. Li's assistant, that quite pretty young woman, has also dropped out. Isn't that strange? I heard she's going abroad to study. I distinctly remember Teacher Li mentioning her family wasn't well off. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong. Oh, really? When did this happen? Now that Li Yuhao's broke, did she still follow him, or was she tricked into going? Let me think. It must have been right around the time of Teacher Lin's incident. Oh, I see. Well, it's good she can study abroad, I suppose. I've only met her a few times, so I don't really know her. Good, let's see what kind of life they can live without my money. May the scumbag and the bitch be locked together for life. Li Yuhao didn't have much stuff, so we packed up quickly. After saying goodbye to them, I left with my things. Halfway there, I saw a trash can, so I got off and threw everything away. Over a month later, I received a call from the two of them. They were going back to their hometown to live and said goodbye to me. It seems they finally sold the house. This is for the best. I don't want to keep playing games with them. 2 years later, I gathered the necessary documents and applied to the court to declare Li Yuhao dead, completely severing ties with him. Now, I'm going to fully enjoy the life that's mine. 10, 11, impossible. 12, 13. End. Story 2. My husband is a member of a civilian scientific expedition team. His white moonlight insisted on going on an undeveloped route, and they ended up caught in an avalanche. In the moment of danger, my husband pulled his white moonlight to safety first, leaving the oxygen tank behind for me to figure out how to escape. Trapped under the snow, I cried out to him for help. Help me, I and the child don't want to die. He snapped, can't you be more mature, using a fake pregnancy as a joke? Besides, Xiao Xiao isn't as experienced as you, she's got snow blindness, and I need to stay at the hospital to look after her. You take the gear and head down the mountain on your own. He heartlessly hung up the phone, rushing to comfort his white moonlight, but what he didn't know was that the oxygen tank he left for me had already been sabotaged by his precious white moonlight. The thunderous noise on the snow mountain was deafening. Han Xinyan looked up, his face showing a hint of anxiety. It's bad, a snow avalanche is coming, let's hurry and leave. Just as everyone was about to retreat, the avalanche came too fast, with rolling white snow sweeping down on us. The snow hit me and Zhu Xiaoxiao, and we both fell into a snow pit due to gravity. Han Xinyan outside can only save one person first. Zhu Xiaoxiao, teary-eyed, looked at him. See Nian, save Qingwan first, don't worry about me. Han Xinyan couldn't bear to see her cry, a complex expression appearing in his eyes. Xiao Xiao, what are you talking about? How could I leave you behind? He glanced at me on the other side of the cave entrance and, without a moment's hesitation, pulled Zhu Xiaoxiao out. Trapped beneath the debris, I struggled desperately to no avail and could only cry out for Han Xinyan. Xinyan, can't you save me first? Han Xinyan looked at me with a deep frown. Stop pretending. We've been in situations like this before on expeditions. Can't you just climb out yourself? But I was stuck, and I couldn't free myself on my own. Han Xinyan ignored my plea, looking up at the restless mountain once more. He threw the gear into the cave. Qingwan, get out now. We need to be off the mountain before dark. I watched their fleeing figures, hand in hand, and pleaded desperately, don't leave me here alone. Unfortunately, they were too far away to hear. The snow at the cave entrance kept piling up, shrinking the space I was in, and breathing became increasingly difficult. Thinking of the oxygen tank Zhu Xiaoxiao left behind, I quickly opened it, only to find it empty. I finally understood the meaningful smile she gave before leaving. It seems she wants me dead too, but my will to survive wouldn't let me give up. The cold was making me stiff. With great effort, I fumbled my phone from my pocket and dialed the wilderness emergency number. Is there anyone? Can someone help me? The staff, listening to the phone, quickly soothed. Where are you now? Are you alone? Don't worry, we'll try to locate you. Due to the altitude, it's difficult to receive mobile signals, and both sides can hardly hear each other. I'm like an ant on a hot pan, pacing around in a panic. The signal was lost, and I had to force myself to stay calm. I took out the walkie-talkie from my backpack and tried to adjust the channel to contact Han Xinyan. Unfortunately, there was no response from the other end, and I lost count of how many times I tried. Thankfully, there was a reaction on the other end's channel. I pleaded with him through my tears. Save me, Xinyan, I'm pregnant, I don't want to die, and neither does our baby. Han Xinyan heard this but scolded her. Qingwan, can't you be more sensible? Are you really joking about something as serious as a fake pregnancy? Xiao Xiao isn't a professional like you, she's come down with snow blindness, and I need to stay at the hospital to look after her. Besides, didn't she leave you the gear? Just take the equipment and make your way down the mountain yourself. Equipment. Listening to his words, my heart ached. The oxygen tank he gave me, his white moonlight, was leaking. What do I have to descend the mountain with? Before I could finish, he coldly hung up the phone. Due to prolonged freezing, my bodily functions are gradually declining, finally reduced to a wisp of soul, watching the body slowly succumb to death. The face turned blue, ears stiff and purple, even with spots of blood seeping out. It's just a pity for the unborn child in my womb. I'm sorry, my child, it's because mommy didn't protect you well. 3. Perhaps my obsession was too deep, for my spirit instantly flashed into the hospital. I saw Han Xinyan, who had fallen asleep slumped over the hospital bed, still clutching Zhu Xiaoxiao's hand. My eyes ached as if pierced by needles. I rubbed them frantically, tears streaming from the corners. Seeing it with my own eyes still hurts. The boy who used to pull on my sleeve, promising to marry me when we grew up, had already found the girl he loved in college. I thought my efforts to get closer to him were futile, that I could only stand still and silently watch him find happiness. But then, the year we graduated, Han Xinyan suddenly had a hereditary illness flare up, requiring a kidney transplant. While Zhu Xiaoxiao found an excuse to study abroad, it was me who stayed by his side, even against the advice of those around me. Secretly undergoing a kidney transplant, I always remember the day I returned with food for Han Xinyan, and he asked me seriously, "Qing Wan, would you like to be with me?" I was so excited I was about to cry, thinking the hardships were over, but everything changed when Zhu Xiaoxiao returned on my birthday. I waited for Han Xinyan for a long time, but he never showed up. Instead, I saw Zhu Xiaoxiao post a moment on her social media feed. The caption read, "The heart flutter of a long-awaited reunion." The accompanying picture was of the two of them toasting with linked arms. Although Zhu Xiaoxiao deliberately cropped out the face, I immediately recognized Han Xi's hand. "That's the scar left from a bear bite during his adventure," someone asked in the comments, and Zhu Xiaoxiao enthusiastically replied, "It feels so good to return home and have someone to welcome you." Many people were teasing them to get together. My heart sank. A gut feeling told me the man at the center of the gossip was my husband. Han Xinyan. I sat in the living room, unable to sleep all night, until I saw a drunken Han Xinyan stumble through the door. The lipstick stain on his collar made all my pent-up emotions erupt in an instant. "We had an unprecedented argument over Zhu Xiaoxiao," Han Xinyan explained impatiently. "Song Qingwan, it's just a gathering of old classmates. Get those filthy thoughts out of your head. Besides, aren't I already with you? What more do you want?" Staring at the forcefully shut door, tears streamed down my face. He was right. What more did I want? For at first, I thought Zhu Xiaoxiao was just infiltrating our lives, but I didn't expect her to encroach on our work as well. Because of a single sentence from Zhu Xiaoxiao, Han Xi'er brought her into the scientific expedition. Zhu Xiaoxiao was dissatisfied with my planned route and insisted on exploring undeveloped areas. She cooed to Han Xi'er, come on, I want to go. Will you come with me?" Han Xinyan finally relented and took us on an undeveloped route. I reminisced about everything that had happened. It was all so vivid. Zhu Xiaoxiao woke up from her hospital bed, opening her eyes to see Han Xinyan's moved expression. "Xinyan, I thought I'd never see you again in this lifetime." Han Xinyan saw her crying and gently comforted her. "What are you talking about? Even if you couldn't see, I would never abandon you." Zhu Xiaoxiao didn't see me and pretended to be worried. "Qingwan, is she alright? What could be wrong with her? She's a professional adventurer. Back when we were stranded in the wilderness, it was her who led us out." Hearing Han Xinyan say that, Zhu Xiaoxiao pouted. "You should go check on her. Didn't she call you several times?" Seeing her bring me up again, Han Xinyan's eyes flashed with disdain. "No need, she's just being petty, making a fuss over nothing." Hearing Han Xi's complaints, my heart felt like it was being stabbed. It turns out I don't even have a place in his heart. No matter what I do, I can't compare to Zhu Xiaoxiao. Since she needed to be hospitalized for observation, Han Xi stayed by her side without leaving, completely forgetting about my safety. His phone buzzed in his pocket. He answered it and heard the expedition leader needed to see him. He glanced at Zhu Xiaoxiao, who was snacking on fruit and scrolling through her phone, and reluctantly agreed. "Xiaoxiao, something's come up at work. I need to head back to the office. Call me if you need anything." "Alright. I'll wait for you." After Zhu Xiaoxiao saw Han Xi off, I followed him to his unit. As soon as I entered the leader's office, I saw the team leader with a furious expression. "Who allowed you to bring tourists into the snow mountain without permission? I heard you even took the undeveloped route. Do you know how dangerous that is?" The snow mountain, due to its unique terrain, often experiences accidents. Without sufficient experience, it's easy to be wiped out and lose lives. Moreover, the expedition team hasn't planned out the safest route yet, making it even less suitable for tourists to take risks. Seeing the team leader was angry, Han Xinyan began to explain, "They're not just tourists. One is my old classmate, and the other is Qingwan. Don't you trust Qingwan's abilities? Besides, she was the one who led the team on that undeveloped route. We all made it down the mountain just fine." Hearing Han Xinyan pin this baseless accusation on me, I felt a surge of anger. It was clearly Zhu Xiaoxiao who insisted on taking that path. Why should I be the one to take the blame? I desperately tried to explain from the sidelines, but unfortunately, no one could hear me. The team leader looked at him with skepticism, but someone from the rescue team said they picked up a distress signal in the mountains. Communications were down, so they couldn't pinpoint the location. The chances are, they've likely perished. Han Xinyan dismissed the idea. The mountain range is vast, there must be other expedition teams out there. It can't be Qingwan. Furious about the unauthorized operation, the team leader couldn't hold back his reprimand. "It's best if nothing happened. Song Qingwan was being too reckless this time. have her write a self-criticism report for me. In the end, due to Hansi's accusations, I was suspended from my duties by the group. The job I was so proud of was tarnished by his few words. The person I loved all my life now feels a bit unfamiliar to me, Han Xinyan asked for leave from the regiment leader and hurried back to the hospital to take care of Zhu Xiaoxiao. As soon as he entered the corridor, he heard someone calling his name from a distance. Han Xinyan turned around and stared at the female doctor wearing a mask. The female doctor removed her mask and greeted, Han Xinyan, are you here to pick up medicine for Qingwan? Han Xinyan stared at her for a long moment before it dawned on him. She was a distant cousin from his family. He offered her a polite smile. What, is Qingwan ill? No, Qingwan is pregnant, didn't she tell you? Han Xinyan's expression darkened, as if something unpleasant had crossed his mind. He shook his head. The doctor gave an awkward smile. Look at me, speaking out of turn. Perhaps Qingwan wanted to surprise you. A pang of bitterness welled up inside me as I listened to their conversation. He was so small, he didn't even get a chance to see the world. It's my fault for being useless and not protecting the baby in my womb. The female doctor excused herself to attend to work. Han Xinyan, who was nearby, took the opportunity to sit down in a chair, took out his phone to call me, but found no one answered. Immediately after, he sent me a voice message, his tone laced with irritation. Where are you now? We're at Harmony Hospital, hurry up and meet us here. Sensing his own tone had been too harsh, he softened it and continued, Qingwan, you're pregnant, don't be mad at me, please answer the phone. I watched as Han Xinyan sent one voice message after another. I couldn't help but wonder if he would regret it once he knew the truth. Seeing that I didn't reply, Han Xinyan sighed and put away his phone, then walked into the ward. He pushed the door open and saw Zhu Xiaoxiao waiting for him on the hospital bed, her eyes filled with tender concern. Didn't I tell you not to wait up for me? It's so late. Zhu Xiaoxiao stuck out her tongue but said nothing. So he does know what late means. Thinking back, I had cooked dinner and waited for him at home. Watching his figure as he entered the door, I voiced my concern. Xinyan, why are you back so late? Seeing his displeased expression, he threw his bag onto the sofa, spilling the food on the table. If you're hungry, just eat. I told you not to wait for me. He ignored the mess on the floor and slammed the door shut. Back then, I thought it was because I wasn't good enough. I never realized that the difference between love and indifference could be so stark. Zhu Xiaoxiao noticed his exhaustion and kindly asked, Xinyan, what's going on? Han Xinyan leaned back in his chair and pinched the bridge of his nose. It's nothing, just work stuff. Work stuff? Is it about Qingwan? Have you contacted Qingwan? Zhu Xiaoxiao continued to press, and Han Xinyan, growing impatient, replied, No, you're a grown adult, yet you're still throwing a childish tantrum. You really have no sense of proportion. Xinyan, don't be angry. It's all my fault for causing that argument between you and Qingwan. Maybe you should go and make it up to her. Han Xinyan looked at her, so understanding and considerate, and curled his lip in disdain. When will she ever be as sensible as you are? She makes such a fuss over the smallest thing. I really need to give her the cold shoulder for a few days. Zhu Xiaoxiao's eyes gleamed with satisfaction upon hearing Han Xi's disdain for me. She took out her phone and posted a status. True feelings are revealed in times of adversity. Watching the two of them in their blissful intimacy, a pang of resentment stirred within me. Why should they have true feelings while I am left to face my trials alone? Old lovers have endless things to talk about, and Zhu Xiaoxiao told Han Xinyan about the past. Actually, your parents came to see me and said my conditions were far from being good enough for you, so Xiaoxiao, I knew you wouldn't leave without a reason. Han Xinyan believed in her unconditionally. Thinking that their love had been cruelly torn apart, I looked into his eyes, brimming with heartache, and pleaded urgently, Han Xinyan, don't believe her, everything she says is a lie. But I was merely a wisp of a spirit, powerless to change anything. At that moment, Han Xinyan's phone rang. Its timing utterly inopportune. An unknown number was calling. By accident, he answered on speakerphone. Is this Mr. Han? Our rescue team found a female corpse in the snow mountain. It appears to be your wife. Han Xinyan smirked after hearing this, mocking. How much did Song Qingwan pay you to collude with her and put on this act? He then hung up the phone and complained to Zhu Xiaoxiao beside him. Song Qingwan is really going too far, actually colluding with others to play tricks on me. Zhu Xiaoxiao didn't chime in, asking timidly, but what if it's true? Impossible. She's an expedition member, far more physically capable than the average person. How could she just die so easily? She's probably hiding somewhere right now, trying to trick us. Song Qingwan Is really going too far this time. Zhu Xiaoxiao forced an unnatural smile. Qingwan, honestly, how could she make such a tasteless joke? Watching Han Xinyan's resolute denial, I laughed until tears streamed down my face. Even now, he refuses to believe that something has happened to me. After staying with Zhu Xiaoxiao until she fell asleep, he slipped out of the hospital room and began frantically making calls. All he got on the other end was a robotic female voice. Han Xinyan suddenly exploded, shouting, "Song Qingwan, if you don't pick up this phone, we're getting a divorce." So he'd finally said what was really on his mind. Ever since Zhu Xiaoxiao returned to the country, all his attention has been on her. He didn't even notice my frequent morning sickness. Now that I'm dead, it's the perfect time to make room for that lovesick pair. Early the next morning, my parents from the countryside rushed to the hospital, only to run into Han Xinyan in the corridor as he was fetching water. My mother went straight up to Han Xinyan and started pummeling him. The hospital corridor suddenly became lively, with everyone stopping to point and whisper. Han Xi's face turned grim, and he broke free from his mother's grip, shouting rudely, "Did Qingwan send you here?" Hearing my name, my mother burst into loud sobs. "My daughter, you killed my daughter, give me back my daughter." The mother, being supported at her side, also had tears in her eyes. It turned out that when Han Xinyan was called to claim the body, he didn't take it seriously, so the hospital managed to contact my parents instead. Seeing them utterly grief-stricken, my heart ached too. It's my unfilialness that made them, the elderly, witness the death of their child. Han Xinyan, hearing this, couldn't believe it and stared at his parents, trying to discern the truth. Zhu Xiaoxiao, hearing the commotion, came out of the ward and spoke with displeasure to her parents, who were causing a scene. "This is 2 superscript 2 hospital. Not a place for you to cause trouble. Xinyan, are you alright?" Seeing the intimate scene between the two, my parents exploded with rage, pointing a trembling finger at Han Xinyan's face. They screamed, "You heartless bastard, Xiaowan is dead, and here you are canoodling with this homewrecker. Have you no shame? I'll kill you, you little tramp, I'll kill you." The scene descended into utter chaos. Han Xinyan desperately tried to shield Zhu Xiaoxiao, but she was still grabbed at, her hair torn loose and left in a disheveled, humiliating state. Watching my parents fighting so hard to defend my honor, my eyes welled up with tears. I wanted to step in and help, but my fingers just passed right through them, utterly powerless to do a thing. Finally, the hospital security arrived to put an end to the whole spectacle. Having gotten the news, Han Xinyan secretly followed his parents to the morgue and saw me lying there with his own eyes. His arms were curled protectively over his abdomen, but death had already contorted them. I never imagined that after all my adventures, big and small, I would meet my end like this. Back in the hospital room, Han Xinyan sat on a chair and spoke, his voice trembling. "Xiaoxiao, how could Qingwan be dead? Her skills as an explorer were no less than my own." Shock and helplessness overwhelmed him. Clutching Zhu Xiaoxiao's sleeve, he sobbed, "Did you know? She was pregnant. I was about to be a father. How could she?" Zhu Xiaoxiao hadn't realized she meant so much to him. A flicker of jealousy crossed her eyes before she embraced him, gently patting his back and speaking softly, "None of us wanted this to happen. It's her fault for not making things clear." He looked up, dazed, his vision blurred by tears. Han Xinyan had always been calm and composed. I had never seen him like this before. Watching him weep with sorrow, my heart remained utterly unmoved. Now he knows how to cry, but it's too late for regrets. If only he had stayed a moment longer, I wouldn't have frozen to death in that bitter, snowy wilderness. Yeah, she didn't explain it clearly. Why didn't she explain it to me clearly? Han Xinyan muttered to himself, but as he spoke, he broke down in tears again. Did I really not tell him I was pregnant? It was because he didn't believe it. He'd rather think it was a joke than accept it was true. Does he really think he can wash his hands of my death? Zhu Xiaoxiao took his hand and soothed him gently. "Xinyan, what's gone is gone. Let's just go and pay our last respects." Han Xinyan heard her but didn't respond. He still couldn't accept that someone he'd spent every day with was suddenly gone. But with only Zhu Xiaoxiao by his side now, he gave a resigned nod of agreement. Watching the two of them delude themselves, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. The two murderers still want to see the victim off. My parents were utterly devastated by my death. In order to leave the place of heartbreak as soon as possible, on the 3rd day, the parents began making funeral arrangements. The funeral was held so abruptly that friends who received the news couldn't make it in time. The service was sparsely attended, making it feel particularly desolate. Han Xinyan, having just gotten the news, hurriedly appeared at the scene. His eyes were red and swollen, and the usually fastidious man hadn't even had a chance to shave. "What are you doing here?" My mother stared coldly at the two of them. Seeing how angry she was, Han Xinyan's tone softened. Mom, we're here for Qingwan's funeral. My mother hated them to the core for my death. She lunged at Han Xinyan. How dare you show your face? Why didn't you save Xiaowan? Why didn't you save her? She was pregnant. This time, Han Xinyan did not resist, allowing his mother's rain-like punches to fall, while Zhu Xiaoxiao beside him couldn't bear to watch and could only lower her head in silence. Mom, I'm sorry. I thought she was lying to me. If I had known. You jerk, even if you knew, you'd probably still save this vixen first. His mother was sobbing uncontrollably, looking at Zhu Xiaoxiao hiding behind Han Xinyan, wanting to reach out and hit her, but was blocked by Han Xinyan. Enough. What does Xiaoxiao have to do with this? It's my fault, okay. Seeing Han Xinyan publicly defend Zhu Xiaoxiao, mother pulled father aside and said, make them leave, I don't want to see them. Seeing this, Han Xinyan was about to lead Zhu Xiaoxiao away when he saw his mother walking straight towards him. My mother-in-law, tears welling in her eyes, slapped her son across the face in a fury. You scoundrel, kneel down and apologize. Mom, Han Xinyan couldn't believe his mother wasn't on his side, covering his face and refusing to kneel. Zhu Xiaoxiao stepped forward to persuade. Auntie, the mother-in-law swung her hand again, delivering another slap this time. However, the target was Zhu Xiaoxiao. She looked Zhu Xiaoxiao up and down with utter contempt. You should remember our agreement. How dare you show your face here after taking the money? Han Xinyan listened to his mother's words with confusion in his eyes. He glanced at the aggrieved Zhu Xiaoxiao and then argued his case. Mom, I know now that you even drove Xiaoxiao away back then to make me marry Qingwan. Qingwan just loves me too much. What did she do wrong? Loves you. If she truly loved you, she wouldn't have gotten married abroad. Qingwan is the one who truly loves you. She even gave you one of her kidneys. How did I raise such a foolish son? His mother wore an expression of utter exasperation, as if despairing of his inability to meet her expectations. After all these years of keeping it a secret, my mother-in-law finally let it slip. Hearing this, Zhu Xiaoxiao, who was standing nearby, panicked. She took Han Xinyan's hand and said softly, Xinyan, I didn't know. If I could, I would have given you a kidney too. Han Xinyan looked at everyone, struggling to process it all. Had he personally caused the death of the very person who saved his life? He ran out of the funeral in a crazed state. Zhu Xiaoxiao chased after him, but still couldn't catch up. At dusk, Han Xinyan stumbled his way back home. Zhu Xiaoxiao was somewhat frightened. Looking at his utterly devastated state, she cautiously approached, sobbing and pleading through her tears. Xinyan, after your mother drove me away, I went abroad where I knew no one. To survive, I had no choice but to marry. He beat and abused me after we wed. I couldn't take it anymore and ran back here. Seeing you again, feeling your unwavering care, I regret everything. I want to start over with you. But this time, there was no trace of pity in Han Xinyan's eyes. He just stared at her blankly. Xiaoxiao, I need some quiet time. Zhu Xiaoxiao didn't dare to push him too hard, fearing that Han Xinyan might really break up with her in a fit of anger, so she nodded. Han Xinyan returned to our bedroom, lay down on the bed, closed his eyes, and the scent of my gardenia lingered around his nose. He tossed and turned but couldn't fall asleep, crying inconsolably under the covers. Qingwan, do you hate me? Otherwise, why won't you come to my dreams? Hearing his self-recriminating mutterings, I felt a bit of disdain. Does he truly understand his mistake? No, he simply can't accept that his perception has been shattered. He doesn't love me. If he did, why would he ignore my request? I will never forgive him, not ever. After that, Han Xinyan was in a terrible state. He lay in bed, refusing food and drink, unable to find any peace or sleep. Zhu Xiaoxiao tried to seduce him while wearing my pajamas. Xinyan, Qingwan is gone. I will take her place and stay with you forever. Can we start over? And so, he truly mistook Zhu Xiaoxiao for me. When Zhu Xiaoxiao was brushing her teeth in the bathroom, he would step forward, wrap his arms around her from behind, and bury his face to take a deep breath. No, Xiaowan doesn't like this scent. Zhu Xiaoxiao was forced against the sink by him, and Han Xinyan grabbed the perfume from the cabinet and sprayed it wildly all over her. She struggled fiercely, breaking the perfume, only to be met with a brutal beating. Why did you break Xiaowan's things? You deserve to die. You deserve to die. You're crazy. Han Xinyan, look closely. I'm Zhu Xiaoxiao, not her. Zhu Xiaoxiao tried to rouse Han Xinyan, but it was no use. She was imprisoned in the house by Han Xinyan. She had to mimic my every word and action. The slightest deviation would earn her his endless beatings and abuse. Seeing Han Xinyan like this, Zhu Xiaoxiao felt suffocated to the point of breaking down. Han Xinian, you don't love Song Qingwan, you don't love anyone, shut up, you're lying, I love Xiaowan, Xiaowan is not allowed to leave me. The lie Han Xinian had spun for himself was mercilessly torn apart by Zhu Xiaoxiao. I watched his deranged state with cold indifference. Zhu Xiaoxiao was right, Han Xinian doesn't love anyone, he has always loved only himself. I thought he would remain in that state of madness forever, until that phone call came. My accident drew the attention of the scientific expedition team. They've made a new discovery regarding my death. The call to Han Xinian was to request his cooperation with the investigation. Han Xinian regained a moment of clarity and headed to his workplace. As soon as he entered, the team leader offered his condolences. Xiao Han, we're all deeply saddened by Qingwan's passing. She was such a promising talent, how could this, Just as the two were talking, an employee knocked and entered the room. He glanced at Han Xinyan, hesitating to speak. The leader immediately understood and waved his hand, saying, we're all on the same team, just speak directly, leader. We re-examined the place where the deceased passed away and found that with adequate equipment, they could have definitely waited for rescue. Except that we discovered the oxygen tank was leaking at the scene. Upon hearing the staff's report, Han Xinian exclaimed in agitation, what did you say? The equipment is faulty. He recalled everything that had happened. At the time, Zhu Xiaoxiao had grabbed his arm, her voice trembling with tears. Xinian, I'm so scared, I can't see a thing. Blinded by his concern for her, he failed to rescue Song Qingwan from the snow hole and instead threw the equipment to her, and this suggestion had been proposed by Zhu Xiaoxiao. Han Xinian closed his eyes in anguish, not daring to dwell on the thought that Zhu Xiaoxiao had done this on purpose. Seeing his tormented and conflicted expression, he must have learned the truth. I can't help but wonder, will he avenge me? After leaving the expedition team, Han Xinian didn't go home. Instead, he went to the cemetery. He knelt before my tombstone, tears streaming down his face. I'm sorry, Xiaowan, I miss you so much, but you're gone. It was my fault, I let you down. How desperate you must have felt. If I could do it all over again, I would save you. Rest assured, I won't let the murderer go unpunished. Watching him talk to himself, slapping his own face one moment and then smiling at a photo the next, I couldn't help but shake my head. Han Xinyan is beyond saving. I stood coldly to the side, not knowing how long he had been acting crazy. Suddenly, I got up and left. Driving back home, he eagerly ran to the bedroom to fetch Zhu Xiaoxiao my clothes and gently helped her change. Xiaoxiao, you look so beautiful. With her eyes dull, she suddenly looked up, a flicker of surprise crossing her face. Xinyan, who am I? Xiaoxiao, you're Xiaoxiao. As Han Xinyan regained his sanity, Zhu Xiaoxiao willingly embraced him, and the two stayed close for a long time. Lost in her joy, she completely missed the sinister glint that flashed in Han Xinyan's eyes. Do you remember our agreement? You mean confessing to me in a hot air balloon? Zhu Xiaoxiao spoke under his gaze, her face turning bashful. Han Xinyan nodded gently and said, yes. Let's go for a hot air balloon ride. Before Zhu Xiaoxiao could say anything, Han Xinyan took her to the mountain. Inside the hot air balloon, Zhu Xiaoxiao looked down at the beautiful landscape below, her face beaming with joy. Xinyan, thank you for giving us a second chance. I'm so happy. Today is the 7th day since Xiaowan's passing. Han Xinyan answered evasively, his gaze fixed on the endless mountain peaks, his voice cold and chilling. Even I, floating in midair, felt a shiver of fear. Han Xinyan, who didn't care about my birthday, remembers the day of my death with perfect clarity. Why bring her up? Dead people are inauspicious. Zhu Xiaoxiao was somewhat displeased. After all, she had suffered a lot because of me. Now that Han Xinyan has finally come to his senses, she doesn't want to go back to those days. Han Xinyan turned around, grabbed her by the neck, his eyes bloodshot. Did you know from the start that the oxygen tank was leaking? Were you deliberately making me give the equipment to Xiaowan? Wasn't that it? Held in his chokehold, Zhu Xiaoxiao struggled desperately, her lips turning a faint purple as she forced the words out. No, I don't know. Hearing Zhu Xiaoxiao's denial, Han Xinian curled his lips into a smile and pushed her body further out over the edge. Terrified, she grabbed Han Xinyan's hands, her eyes brimming with tears as she pleaded, yes, I did it. But Han Xinian, you can't blame me entirely. You were the one who chose not to save her, weren't you? Yeah, who can he blame? It was him who didn't believe me and refused to save me. Stimulated by Zhu Xiaoxiao, Han Xinyan suddenly let go, and she, now free, took deep breaths of fresh air. Watching the hot air balloon rise higher and higher, she felt a growing sense of unease. In the next second, Han Xinyan rushed towards her, muttering to himself, "Yes, it's me. We are all murderers who killed Xiao Wan. We all deserve to die." Zhu Xiaoxiao watched the deranged him struggle desperately, but a weak woman could never withstand the strength of a grown man. She was strangled to death by Han Xinyan. As Han Xinyan watched Zhu Xiaoxiao, her eyes open but no breath left, he fearfully let go of her. Cowering in the corner, he clutched his head and screamed, "Damn it, anyone who harmed Xiao Wan deserves to die." Han Xinyan got up, dragged Zhu Xiaoxiao's body to the side, muttering to himself as he stripped her clothes off. He then grabbed a rope from the hot air balloon, hastily bound her, and threw her down from the high altitude. He looked down, clapping his hands in triumph. "Xiao Wan, I've avenged you, you'll forgive me now, won't you?" I watched the tragedy unfold with numb detachment, unable to stop the thoughts swirling in my mind. When would Han Xinyan, the mastermind behind it all, finally face justice? Soon after, the police discovered the naked body of a woman in the ravine. Once they identified the suspect, they went straight to his door. They broke in, and a wave of putrid stench made everyone grimace. Han Xinyan had lost his mind, clutching my favorite red dress and refusing to let go. To take him away, the police had no choice but to let him keep holding the garment. Trapped in prison, he looked up. A tiny window let in a faint light. He crouched on the ground, gently stroking his clothes. Prolonged starvation had left his throat unable to produce any sound. Fortunately, I can read lips. I see his mouth opening and closing. I know, he's calling my name, because Han Xinyan, who committed murder, was sentenced to life imprisonment. His mother-in-law once came to visit him, but he no longer recognized anyone, just mindlessly repeating two words. Years slipped by in the blink of an eye. Han Xinyan had become a stooped old man, leaning alone and forlorn against the wall. No, there was still me. I could never leave, bound to stay by his side. But I knew the day Han Xinyan died would be the day of my liberation. I counted the days, and soon, that day arrived. The weather was fine, and sunlight streamed through the window. Han Xinyan, lying in bed, suddenly turned his head to the side, staring as if he could see me. He raised a faint smile and slowly said, "Xiao Wan, is that you?" Han Xinyan was already on the brink of death, and I nodded in response. With tears streaming down his face, he whispered softly, "Have you forgiven me?" I remained silent, watching the light in his eyes gradually fade, like a lamp running out of oil. My body grew light, drifting out of the room and out of the prison. It felt as though I had returned to that day in the snow-covered mountains. I faintly heard an ancient voice beside me as I was buried under the snow. "Do you remember the fortune you drew? Holding your hand, we grow old together. Your wish has come true." It turns out that my soul stayed by Han Xinyan's side because of the fortune I drew at the matchmaking temple many years ago. Who would have thought fate would play such a trick? I forced a bitter smile.